It is May 24th, 2017. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast. I am Tim Herb, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Dan James, to my right.
Thanks, Tim. I'm glad I've got upgraded to the lovely co-host.
And actually, Eric, you want to push that other
is it blocking
down?
my pretty face?
Blocking your pretty face.
There you go. Now you can see me.
Yeah, you guys would probably think, it's fine. You're good. We have Eric Quintana of Mouse of the South joining us, Dirty South Soccer.
Sup?
Appreciate you joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. You know what? I've envied your setup because you guys are all local. You guys are all around this area of town, whereas and nothing against, the way we do things, but, Sam is in Athens, so he has to do his thing remotely. When we had Jason, and he's still welcome anytime on the show. He's not like, been banned from doing the show. He's in Nashville, and he's, he has a new kid, so it's hard for him to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we just added Josh, who's local, and he's willing to come to the studio, so we do it that way.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, we do it remotely with Sam still. So, but I do envy this setup where you guys all come over, you watch the match, the MLS review, and get to talking.
Stop telling all our secrets, Eric.
It's like a warm up to the actual show. We don't have that. We just kind of dive in.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just to fill the void. You guys help me fill the void in my life. No. So yeah, I mean, we're coming off an absolutely amazing match.
Oh my gosh.
It feels nice to get another W under our belt, even though the Portland game kind of felt like a W at the time anyway. Portland looks like they're kind of going downhill, but it was nice to have, at the time, the second best team in the West come in. Granted, they're not great on the road, but come in and just get a convincing victory, have our best player score our first hat trick.
To have our best player have his best game, and you understand why they spent so much money to bring him here. I mean, it was just fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when I was at the game, I was a good 3 or 4 beers in when I got there, and so all sort of objectivity was just removed. So I was just able to completely just gush over our team. But even in watching the rewatching the game, you could just tell his quality is just so far above, the majority of the MLS.
To me, it wasn't just Almiron. Almiron obviously was something special. It was the fact that the entire team seemed like just the perfect cohesive unit that we kind of expected them to be, that we saw against, the Chicago Fire game, or when we saw them against Minnesota. And we hadn't really seen that since. This is the first time we really saw them, really all 11 players, only maybe exception, maybe Mears, maybe a little bit, but even he had a pretty decent game, at least defensively. It was just, it was great to see that. It was great to see that all 11 players on the field, including Can, just phenomenal game all the way around.
Yeah. And I think one of the more maligned figures on this show until recent weeks, I know Dan loves him, and it took Kevin and I a little while to see the light, as Yamil Asad, aside from the theatrics, yet again, to me, put in a shift.
Yeah,
he put an absolute shift in, and he was great.
But did you guys think he was a little theatrical and dramatic? Because I didn't. I thought this was the first.
No. I'm just talking about historically.
Okay.
Yes.
Because this is the first game I saw him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a new Yamil Asad. Someone must have gotten to him and told him, stop doing this junk, because it's not helping the team. And if anything, it's making things worse.
Well, there was one instance where it looked like maybe it got a little touch in the back and he fell right down. But the thing is, he popped right back up again and started trying to chase the ball.
There was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was one point where he was getting on to somebody else for their theatrics. I think on the right sideline where we were, I feel like he was kind of I think he maybe bumped into somebody, they fell over. I can't remember where it was in the game, but I remember I was like, pot calling the kettle black a little bit here.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, that must have been one of the messages. Obviously, the other message that was heard loud and clear by Almiron was shoot. By the fans, by his teammates, by the press, by everybody. I think 2 weeks ago I likened him to the progressions of Philippe Coutinho watching Liverpool play for a while, to where he's just so much a creator, and he wants to create for other people that at certain point he has to realize he has so much magic in that foot that that first strike, the way that he latched onto that, took that run, and then just cut in. It was just a beautiful strike. It was just a pure hit.
Yeah, who started that off? Mias started that off. He intercepted that header, headed it to Almiron.
Time out. I'll stop you there. It wasn't Mears. It was Carmona that started off defensively. kicking that ball out of bounds. I think he was the one that loses the ball in over there in that right hand corner quadrant, that in the Houston defensive back, defensive third. He knocks out of bounds specifically so that Atlanta United can really pin him back.
Keep him back. Oh,
and
nice.
that's when Mears, gets the header over to Almiron.
I didn't catch that. Nice, good catch, Eric. Glad we had you on.
Yeah. Just another person to make me feel a little less prepared. If you're
to be fair, I didn't catch it until the second time I saw it too. So
if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening to us on iTunes, thank you, and make sure that you guys leave a rating, a review. Let us know what you think of the show. And I think it's your turn, Dan. I don't know if you have it pulled up, but we like to read off
the review.
Yeah, we like to read off the reviews before we get a little too far into the game. I just felt like that was a nice segue talking about my unpreparedness for the game. So,
well, this review is obviously very handsome and very intelligent. Until this season, I haven't been sorry. The reviewer is RM Weinecker. Until this season, I haven't been much of a fan of the MLS. When I started to see the club that Atlanta United was building this past offseason, I quickly jumped on board. The first thing I always do when supporting a new club is to find an equally enjoyable podcast to complement watching the team, especially the one that makes me feel like I'm discussing the game over a beer or two, or in this case, 10. These guys really make watching Atlanta United an even better experience with their show, even though it's clear that Dan is the only one who doesn't need prep work. Well, obviously that's true. We all know why y'all added him. But really, the podcast is the perfect show to help me get through the week between games. It's a must-listen for Atlanta United fans. P.S. Orlando is not the South. Damn straight.
We love it. We love seeing that. There's been a lot of back and forth banter with the Orlando fans today. Some of it a little unimaginative, but some of it pretty great and good fun. But yeah.
Oh, wait, I just see that you guys got another review. It just says, "Who the fuck are the mouths of the South?"
Are you serious?
So
no,
that's all. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we won't have that.
We won't have that blasphemy in our podcast community. Hashtag podcast community.
Yeah. So,
wait, is this the first podcast crossover? Well, I know Rob.
I've been on Soccer Down Here. We've had Jason Longshore on ours. Yeah, and this is the first time I've been with you guys. First time you guys have.
We haven't had. We tried it on. We unfortunately the Terminus Legion DJ booth was. It's a good time.
Against Terminus Legion. I think it was more on microphones than anything else, but it was picking up basically everything else other than our voices. But we tried to do a live pregame show from the Terminus Legion tailgate, and it was
still fun, man.
Technical difficulties, man. That sucks.
That's always it shit happens, man. But so that's another thing. The supporters group. They put on a great tailgate. I mean, everybody does. I mean, it's cool to see everybody just kind of commingling too. Have you joined are you part of
I'm
one?
not officially a part of anything. I just kind of sit back and watch what they do.
Okay.
And
right. I'm the same way. Yeah.
Because I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to be affiliated with any of them because I don't want to sound biased towards any of them.
Yes.
Right. So that's my thing. I think they all do, for the most part, a pretty great job. They all work together well. They all work with the club well. I'm just a fan. I don't know. I'm also very poor, so I don't want to pay for any of the stuff. So.
Shout out to Brandon Rich on live chat on YouTube. Appreciate the love. Just really nice compliment. I enjoy it.
That's good.
We'll keep it at that. Anyway, any negatives for you guys? Because we typically want to go over negatives and positives for the game. I mean, I can't honestly think of too many negatives except maybe Lorenowitz going in like he's going down a slip and slide feet first.
For the penalty?
Yeah.
I don't really fault him for that. I don't think there was anything he could really do. I mean, he was using his arm to hold himself
For me,
up.
I feel like he's a veteran. I don't think he should be sliding in, arms flailing out like that. Am I wrong in thinking that he should know better?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of like a natural reaction, instinctive type of thing. I don't know. When you think back on it, where that ball was, it wasn't going straight to goal. It was going to go back into the middle of the box. And so he dove as if he was going to take a shot from what I call the idiot angle. That tiny degree of space between the goalkeeper and the
Martinez angle.
Yeah. But there's no, I don't know how you slide into that thinking he's going to shoot there. I don't know. And so when you drag the hand behind you, obviously if it touches it, it's going to make it, it's going to interfere with the path of the ball, and that's going to be a penalty. But my bigger issue is that I thought he was offsides.
Right.
I forget who the player was now, but I thought he was offsides because when that play was first started, Yamil didn't intentionally play the ball to him. So if the ball was initially started while he was in an offside position, I thought the whole thing would have been called dead because he was offsides, but that wasn't the case.
And I guess the same thing goes for the other penalty, right?
That I didn't know so much because I want to see the Villalba one. That I didn't know so much because I looked at that and I thought initially I thought he was offsides because he was ahead of the last defender. I thought maybe he could have been even with the ball, but I thought he might have been a step or two ahead. I'd have to see what I don't know who does it on Twitter, but the guy that basically fact checks the offsides with the lines and the diagrams on the field and all that stuff.
I mean, I think that broadcasting savvy is going to catch up eventually. I mean, we watch EPL week in, week out. At least I do. I know you do, Dan. I don't know how much EPL you watch.
I don't.
And I'm sure you watch La Liga, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, I keep up with that.
I mean, they have all the technology that you would find. I mean, the same thing. Like you put the line down, and then you could see. I mean, I saw that even in the. I want to say they did that during the Portland game. Am I wrong with Liam Ridgewell's?
I don't remember seeing
I know
any of that.
Well, I know that at least they had a camera down that.
They did.
There
was a lot of good angles for it.
It's a camera that goes down that's right at that defensive line mark, whatever that third of the field mark, and they didn't have that at Bobby Dodd. Sorry, if you've been.
Isn't Providence Park a soccer built stadium?
Yeah, so I mean, they might.
Exactly.
They're more used to doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and then you pointed out too the Orlando Soccer Specific Stadium. They have the same kind of deal with the cameras that go on.
If you notice the way they're and it I think I
don't want to compliment Orlando.
See, I don't either. I don't either. But I'll compliment their stadium. I'll compliment the architect that built it.
Designed by an architect outside of Atlanta.
Probably
it was designed from an architect in Atlanta.
Last thing we need on this show is more architecture, more smoke getting blown up. Dan's an architect. Kevin's an architect. So yeah. I don't like it. I remember almost getting a job as a solutions architect before Kevin got licensed, and he was about to be furious. It was beautiful.
No, but if you look at the Orlando, the way the camera is set up, the angle that the camera shoots their games at, it's very much the same angle that you see most Premier League matches in.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get that it's not too high, it's not too low, it's right in the middle. That's the best way I can explain it. But normally, and especially in Bobby Dodd, you've got that really high angle.
Right.
Most MLS stadiums, even if they're soccer specific, they're still very high angle because I think we've gotten so used to watching NFL, at least in the United States, NFL.
That's basically that crazy spider cam now too.
Yeah. So you see the game from those high angles, and you're so used to it. So when Orlando City brought it down, it makes it so much like you're watching an EPL match. I know the quality's not the same, but it does look like you're watching a game in Europe more so than you're watching an MLS game.
Right.
Yeah, which I think.
But that just may be something I observed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good point, and I think it's something that I hope that we see more as we transition. PRO is. I mean, we said we wouldn't talk about. Let's not talk specifically about this match, but I don't know that PRO. I think that the league is outgrowing the quality of referees that are associated with the games. I think because
the fans are getting smarter and they know what a foul is.
That's true too. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a buddy Christian, last night, and I was like, "Can Mark Geiger referee every single MLS game? Like, that'd be nice." I don't think he can be in 10 spots at once, but he seems to be, and obviously he's getting rewarded for it going to Confederations Cup, and he was the first. I think he played or refereed the furthest into the World Cup of any U.S. referee in history, right? Was it semifinal, quarterfinal of 2014?
You say that now. I actually didn't know that, and the fact that he was even in consideration to be refereeing a World Cup game is blowing my mind right now.
Yeah,
because he's so bad.
But what's crazy though is that the Seattle game. I believe it was Atlanta and Seattle was the only game that we've had him as a referee, and I felt like that game he had under control. I think he cautioned when he needed to. He got Gressel under control, and then he got.
What's his name? Well, Alan Kelly does a good neutral. If you're a neutral, he's a good referee to have because it turns into a UFC match. I
was going to say he's not a good referee, but I guess he's a bad referee for both teams. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Exactly.
That's a sad state of affairs. But
it's entertainment, Tim. I'd love to see him do a NYC Portland game or something. Just see them beat the crap out of each other. Though, having talked about Alan Chapman, the ref, apart from the sending Tatar off, which I thought was kind of stupid, I don't think he did that bad of a game. I thought we got as good as they did.
It was even.
Yeah, it was even, but I don't think there
there
were
was
like,
nothing crazy. It wasn't like the Portland game where you had some egregious shit happening, like pick one of Adi's discretions during that game. But yeah, I guess so.
Pick one of Adi's.
Yeah,
just one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So do we want to go back into positives?
Yeah,
for
positives.
The game? So
Alec Can willing to punch Kubo Torres for the culture.
Right.
Which I thought was amazing, watching him just I wanted him to throw down. Do you have any insight to the post-game scrum? Because it looked like
you know what?
It looked like Kenwin almost was about to, like, he was getting held back.
I remember that. I don't really know what happened. I remember seeing that. I remember pointing that out, and I thought, oh, I guess it's just me because no one else is looking at that way. No one else is noticing it. I guess maybe
Everyone
I'm just
was fighting at the
overreacting to
stadium.
what they're doing. Yeah, exactly. I thought something was about to go down.
I thought so too. Like, I mean, you have a 6'5", 230-pound guy
That's
that
the
you're
guy
holding back.
That's the one guy on Atlanta United's team. Like maybe outside of Gressel and Perez, you don't want to mess with. He's the strongest one of the bunch.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I thought Alec Can was great. Like you were saying, his save. Who took that free kick? It wasn't Torres. Torres wasn't in the game yet. Manonis.
Dude, that guy, Manonis, he flopped and got a penalty against Orlando. He flopped and got a penalty against Vancouver. And he flopped and got a free kick in a pretty good location against us.
And then Alec Can
that
stopped
guy,
it.
Man.
Time out. You didn't think Perez fouled him?
Well,
right there at the top of the box?
Gave it a little hook.
I think he maybe dramatized it a little bit, but I thought it was a foul. I looked at Perez and I was like, come on.
I saw Manonis going over like 4 times this whole game. And I was just in his past history.
Yeah.
So, and granted, I don't follow much of Houston. So, you'll have some podcasts saying that Atlanta are a dirty team just based on 3 red cards, 1 that was rescinded, and we have less yellow cards than a lot of teams. So that's probably my perspective of Manonis. However, I'd love to have him on Atlanta.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's my same shtick with Luciano Costa.
I was just getting kind of irritated with him.
Yeah, no, I could see that. No, I thought Can was stellar in saving that. I don't think there's nothing he could do about that penalty kick. Something that we called out in weeks past when we were talking about the whole Guzan. Kevin's not here to confuse us. Guzan and
that guy, man.
Guzan and Can back and forth was that Can's not necessarily a field generally, doesn't really organize the team. I saw a lot of that.
He was doing that, yeah.
He very much was he was trying to take control of the defense in the back because, I mean, Parkhurst really doesn't. I mean, for a captain who's playing center back, he doesn't orchestrate the team as much as he should.
It's kind of amazing this back line is so well connected, even though there seems to be very little communication between anyone in the back half of the field.
Yeah, especially against Houston, I thought, as we were playing the 3 at the back, it seemed like Lorenowitz was actually marshalling it a little better because you had Parkhurst on the right, LGP on the left, and we were ready for, I think there was 2 occasions where Houston had a total open shot, but they either hit it straight at Can or it missed. But those guys were ready for a counterattack. Like after we scored our first goal, they were like high press. How they operate. But we were so they were prepared for that. But they were coming back and they were making sure that they were goal side of Houston, which I thought was really great, having seen that NYFC game.
Well, the one thing I saw and we've seen it before, I don't think we saw it as consistently in other matches like we did against Houston, but as soon as anyone in the attacking third lost the ball, they were immediately on the guys, on whoever was on the ball. You saw Gressel come back and cut down passing angles. You saw the same with Carmona. That's what led to the first goal. You saw the same out of Yamil all over the field.
To the second goal,
Villalba's Gressel's goal. It's all because Villalba is being defensive in his attacking third, and that's.
I thought Villalba had a real different spin in this game. It seemed like this game he was less of that true alone striker, but he was more of a sort of a cog within this machine where he would drop back, but he would, if a play was broken down in the attacking third, he would be the one who would relink it back up together, which I hadn't seen from him before, which I thought was pretty impressive. Just
think,
like a little tackle here and there to keep it going.
And I think that's how once we get Joseph Martinez back, I think that's how those four are going to operate. I think from any given game, you're going to see one of them stand out or do the grunt work. I mean, you see Asad do a lot of the grunt work, even though I think he's top 5 in assists in the MLS now. I think he has 5 assists at this point. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
had 2 this game, and he's working his socks off. And I think that brings up a big question. I think we'll get to later on, maybe whenever Kevin calls in, about whenever Joseph Martinez gets back. I know we talk about it every week, but I feel like there needs to be a status update.
Assist is number 5. Yamil Asad is number 5 on that.
Yeah, and he has 5 assists, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
can I just gush over Asad again? So for the second goal, what was it? Garcia had the ball on the right, and Asad comes in, goes to Garcia's left, dicks the ball from away from him, then turns back around over Garcia's other right side, takes the ball, and from that turnover creates the pass to Almiron, back to Gressel, who flies it into Asad, who knocks it to Almiron, and then does his bunny hop. And then his incredible shot, which felt like just came out of nowhere into the top right-hand corner.
He was falling.
He was like tripping over his shins. And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, in the top right-hand corner.
Post-game, he said it was more of an accident than anything else. He said that it just kind of happened to land perfectly the way I wanted it or the way I needed to receive it. And he took one more touch and shot, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. It's so hard to think he'll be here next year. I hope Atlanta United finds a way.
I know.
Yeah, but at the same time,
maybe we can just
maybe I'm being too I'm looking at this one game too optimistically for him as a player and his future, but
you can't help but do that.
You can't. I mean, you can't look at him and think, oh my gosh, he would be a real asset to a Premier League.
And
team.
he's had 2 down games really, and they're just down games relative to the rest of his season.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the game against Portland, right, and then the game against. Who was right before Portland? I guess maybe it was a 3-game stretch. He definitely looked better against Portland. That's right. It was DC where he dribbled himself out of every single opportunity he had, and the same went for the NYCFC game.
The reason I think this happened is because Villalba's up top. I don't think it happens with Kenwood.
Yeah,
I think that's
it doesn't at all. Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
I think the way that Villalba not only attracts attention from that back line, he's not. Sorry, Kenwood. He's not stationary. He's not just kind of standing there waiting for the ball. He's moving. He's all across, that back line, making things happen, running off the ball, and that's what opens up space for Almiron. One of the big things that we saw against NYCFC was, when he got the ball and he was himself in the middle of the field, he had 4 guys converge on him all at once, and it's because of either the compact field, how little space there was to play with, and how quickly NYCFC did a great job of, knowing the field they were playing on, but the way they converge and that was Kenwood up top, right, at the start of the game.
Yeah.
He just clogged up even more space. Yeah. He left no room for Almiron to run into, and that was one of the big problems I had with Kenwood. That's why this has got to be the lineup from here on out until Martinez.
He's a super sub. Totally we've been saying it. We've been saying it since week 3 probably, that he really is. He's not fit to be anything other than a sub. I mean, ever since Joseph Martinez got hurt. I mean, I never understood why Tata even went to Kenwood Jones.
Me neither.
Because we went to Toronto with Tito Villalba up front, and he scores 2 goals. Granted, he's not the most graceful finisher there is. He's he's dog-like up there whenever it comes to finishing. He's going to get goals out of persistence more than anything. But I just don't understand it. It never made sense to me.
I think because he was trying to figure out the wing.
That, and you're paying Kenwood Jones $450,000.
Yeah,
you're not going to pay someone that much money and put him on the bench and not give him a shot, at least
that's
to figure
true.
out what you have.
I guess at a point you were dealing with suspensions with Yamil Asad, and then you were also dealing with Gressel kind of having his rookie moments. But at the same time, I'm glad that he's back up top. So my question, no shit, I'll wait for Kevin because I think he should be in on this. It was just about the
Asad was suspended because he got sent off against Toronto.
It's basically $413,000 is what he's making this year.
Yeah, and he goes against the salary cap. So
he goes against. I think he's more of a Tam Gam type of player. I'm fairly certain that.
What does that mean?
the target allocation money is the money they can use to kind of bypass the DP status.
Gotcha.
Atlanta United was given so much of that money because they're an expansion team. Same with Minnesota. They just didn't really use it all that well. But Atlanta United was given all this extra money to work with. They were able to pay their players and not have it count against the salary. There's a certain percentage that does count against the salary, but it's not. If they were making this money against the cap, they'd have to be DP signings.
Yeah, no,
and Kenwin's obviously not.
So that was my biggest question, because we're obviously, even in our info or our show bio or whatever in iTunes and on YouTube, it even says that we're still kind of new to the MLS. I mean, we're getting. I mean, Dan more than us probably catching on pretty quickly, but some of the rules and it's just so confusing watching MLS or EPL for 10 plus years and coming over and seeing all these stipulations, how things are. Because I think a couple weeks into the season, we looked up the salary cap and it was something like $3.5 million a year, something like that. And then I saw our whenever they released the salaries, and I was like, wait, I was like, I understand that the DPs don't go against it. Like, what? How are we doing this?
This doesn't look right.
No, right. Especially you got
These numbers don't add up.
Brad Guzan coming in. You have.
I'm not the best at math, but
Kenwin.
Well, it's like because it's weird watching Premier League and all that, but a lot of these, some of these guys in Atlanta don't make that much money. Like, they make less than 70,000-80,000.
You guys know how much Carlton's making?
Probably more than I did at 16.
$77,000.
Jeez.
Andrew Carlton.
He's living
at home.
According to 2017 MLS player salaries, and this was updated last April 15th, and I think they're updated twice a year. I don't expect any reason why this would change, but he was making his guaranteed compensation for 2017 was $77,400.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Had somebody comment.
I have not been offered a full-time position worth that much in my lifetime yet, and he's got I've got 12 years on him at this point.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Any more positives from this game?
So you may have noticed this, Eric, but I had not seen this before. In trying to improve our set pieces, I saw LGP in the box a fair amount, and I had not seen that in other games. Maybe I just missed it, but I was really digging it. And there was one, I think we had a free kick where I think Almiron took it and it went low on the floor, and LGP was around the back post trying to be, and it didn't get to him, but it seemed like that was the play they had practiced
that was my next question. How frustrated were you guys when you first saw them play that free kick in a dangerous position out to Mears, basically 50 yards outside the box? I initially saw that. I was like, no, why? We're going to hear about this all week. Why? And then he plays it to, I think it was Garza, who mistouches it in the box. They play that over the top ball.
Mine was in the first half.
Oh, gotcha.
You're talking, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, they played, it was a pretty good pass out. It faked me out, and I was like, they're doing that. And then I was like, oh, it's Mears. Oh, what the fuck are you doing, Mears? But then he passed it back in, and it was just, God, it was too late, or it's too...
I was on the point of just punching my computer because I thought, I can't believe they're doing that with this opportunity right in front of them. This set piece in a dangerous position.
Yeah. So, I will say about me is that he, like Tim, you mentioned it, like he's the American fullback. And I give him some credit because he's got some grit. Like, if you keep him in the defensive third, he's pretty good. He will make those professional tackles and sort of break up plays, but anywhere past the halfway line, trying to make an attack is like, he just can't do it.
Yeah. I think there's some games that we might want to look at Bloom playing in place of Mears.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little concerned coming into this game. Luckily, it didn't pan out this way. You guys talked about how Houston looks at the counterattack constantly. It's something you see even from watching highlights week in, week out. That's how they make their goals. And I was a little concerned knowing that how badly Mears played against Portland. And then Garza, having those two, we have flub ups in the back. We try and get creative. We get people pushed up too far. Lorenowitz has done a great job getting back and covering. But at the same time, I was a little concerned with the counterattacking team that we're going to have two fullbacks that are pushing forward. I was almost hoping that we would have somebody that played more defensive like Bloom would in place of Mears. But it worked out for us, I guess.
So I guess Mears is making twice as much as Bloom. So that's probably why.
But at a certain point, you got to.
I mean, look, money is the reason why. And I'm sorry for all you that don't want to hear this. He's going to get at least 2 starts to see where it's at, because the main issue for me is not so much his ability to stop shots. It's more how he's going to handle the ball at his feet, because Can has been fine. He's had his moments, sure, where he messes up, but he's been fine for the most part in distributing the ball out of the back.
Guzan has not.
He is not. No, he is.
As a Liverpool fan who watched graciously Brad Guzan free goal kick after goal kick, put it out.
It's not great.
Right. Yes.
So that's the one thing that, I mean, it's the one big gap in his game as a goalkeeper. And he's 34 years old.
33, yeah.
I don't think that's changing anytime soon. So I think ultimately he's going to be a trade piece.
Yeah, no, I think
ultimately
so
they're
too.
going to try to flip him. It might be different now that I've seen him on Match Day with Brittany Arnold, but because I don't think they would put someone on their broadcast network,
right?
If they weren't going to trade him. Yeah,
I like that scenario better than.
That's interesting.
I like that scenario better than Can being trade bait right now.
You've got Can, who's playing really well. You've got Rainish behind him, who's not a slack of a goalkeeper. I mean, he has MLS experience, and he's a guy that he's a great backup goalkeeper.
Right.
You've got Tim Backus, who's young, but he's got quality potential in him. You don't really need Brad Guzan, to be honest.
That would make sense, because when they inquired about him earlier, to get him earlier from Middlesbrough, that they could potentially put him in the shop window before the summer window opens to show.
So that's the thing. What sucks, man, is that we are sitting month and a half probably away from him being available for us, and we're still having to deal with. I mean, he's over here. He's talking to the media. He's with the team, but he can't play.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. So we had a call from Mike from Greenville talking about the Brad Guzan discussion, and he thinks opposite of what we do. Let's see if I can get what do we got. First time, technical difficulties.
Let's see if we can get the work right.
Hey guys, this is Mike from Greenville, South Carolina.
So, Mike.
Love the show. I was just listening
Thanks.
to you guys on the latest episode, debate Guzan or Guzan, whatever y'all are calling him, and Can. I just wanted to chime in on why I'm excited about Guzan coming and why it's a no-brainer that he starts over Can. You can quote all the statistics you want from Guzan playing for a bad Middlesbrough team.
They're not that bad in defense, though.
And you can compare that to how well Can's been playing. But the fact remains, Can is a baby without much experience starting in MLS. I guess he's been starting for a third of a season. Guzan is a veteran who's been tested in the EPL and the national team, and he's shown ability and good results. And regardless of statistics, I think that is the biggest factor here. He's also, 32, which is sort of the perfect age, I would say, to come into MLS as a veteran. And you also pointed out he's more of a general than Can is. I haven't heard any indication that Can is a leader on this team. I mean, he's got to be somewhat of a leader to be the starting goalkeeper. But
let me stop this. This was sent in the day after we recorded last week in the recap of the Portland game. So some of it he may have changed his mind on, but
he's not a general. I think Guzan comes in and it actually adds to this team, improves it, does more than just stop shot, but actually has value added, whereas Can is sort of just doing a great job, but I don't know how much he adds above what a baseline, what a keeper is supposed to do for a team. And then, hopefully Guzan hits the ground running, and then we have this really young keeper on the bench who has starting MLS experience and shown well. And then isn't he great trade bait in that circumstance? And we still have Tim Backus or Rainish or whoever to back up Guzan. To me, because of all those reasons, it's just a no-brainer. We need Guzan on this team.
So thank you, Mike, for sending
Was
that
he
in.
about to say he was about to hang up and listen? Please tell me.
Yeah,
I'll hang up and listen.
No,
That's
no,
awesome.
no. I think he just said said something to the like of thank you. So he pretty much said all the same things that we did in a different order, right? Who's trade
like that,
bait,
yeah.
who's not, but we still have Tim Backus and Ranish. It's not to beat a dead horse. I feel like we talk about this debate every week, but I mean, it's as Can continues, he continues to show his progress in MLS. It becomes, it's just a relevant discussion every week. As much as it sounds like beating a dead horse, I find it harder and harder every week to justify pulling a guy out of a successful team who's actually starting, like we were saying, starting to kind of dictate what's happening on the field, and then just put somebody in who hasn't spent much time with the team, who's going to have maybe a month under his belt in Marietta before he makes a season debut. I think it's a mistake.
So I think the great thing about this is I trust the Atlanta United front office. So whether they decide to trade Can, or they decide to, if they decide to trade Guzan, I trust that they're making the right decision. I feel like they've done a real good job with this team already. I think Guzan we would get more for him. And I think there's better long-term prospects in Can. And I feel like I'm always looking long-term, but.
See, I give him, I think he'll get 2 weeks. I think it'll be. I
don't think we're not going to start.
Yeah. No, he's definitely, you don't spend an allocation order pick for him and not at least give him a shot to see what he has at the MLS level. I think he hasn't played on a good team in the past. Now he's playing on a very, very good squad. So there's reason to believe he might look better on a team like Atlanta United. But you give him 2 weeks. You see how he acclimates to this team, to playing with this different style. And if it doesn't work out in 2-3 weeks, then you kind of part ways with him. Who do you trade it to? I don't know. But to me, the bigger issue isn't. I think they're both. I think Brad Guzan is a better shot stopper. I'll say that day and night. But it's what he can do with his feet that is going to worry me more than anything else.
Right.
Because something Can's been able to do is he knows now when to, especially now, if you noticed in this last match against Houston, he did a lot more just boot the ball up the field.
Right.
Because Parkhurst was either being closed down on, Perez wasn't open, Mears was all the way up the field, guards are the same thing, no one was in the middle, and he just said, boot it.
And he'll take the pressure as well.
Yeah, before he would just kind of try to force it in. That's where we'd see those mistakes. Now, we didn't see that against Houston. And I imagine he's getting better in understanding when to play the ball short, when to go play the ball long. Guzan, I have no idea what he's going to do. And he's good for at least 1 or 2 F-ups every now and then.
The thing is, the first time he screws up,
everyone,
and if it happens, he's going to be like, he's going to be run out of town.
And I'm going to feel so bad for him.
I know, right?
He's kind of a victim of circumstance in that regard, too, because the MLS is so screwy the way we do transfers. And it sucks for him because he's on, unfortunately, not to his own fault. He's on a short leash once he comes to Atlanta. Like you said, 2 weeks.
That's what I give him. I don't know
I know. But, I mean, from fans, if he has 2 bad games in a row to start his career, fans are going to be screaming to pull him.
Yeah.
I was harsh on Alec Can the first couple weeks of the season. I thought he was shaky against New York Red Bulls. I thought he was even shaky in the 6-1 win against Minnesota in distribution specifically. And then he has just eased into that role. He has just gotten used to the bright lights. He really has. And he's 26, 27 years old. He is poised to have a long career in MLS.
My major concern is when he's going to join this team. And if you have 2 bad games, and this is just assuming that he's not fit for this team, which if you were to look at his history, what he's done with Middlesbrough, what he's done with the U.S. men's national team in the past, playing in this type of style isn't beneficial for Brad Guzan. But and also, fuck you guys for confusing me, Brad Guzan and Guzman, because I went into the interview, into the post game, and asked a question about Guzman, knowing that wasn't his fucking name. So fuck you guys. But
that's all Kevin's doing.
But he, oh shoot, what was I even saying?
He's coming in at a bad time. We're already in a playoff battle.
But he's coming in a bad time because July 10th, 12th, those are the 2 dates I've heard. And let's just say he gets 2 extra weeks to kind of acclimate himself
So-
with Atlanta United.
Potentially. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a bad time because that's when you want to be ramping up. If you look at the way Seattle did it last year, it was after that All-Star break that they really went on a run. That run put them into the playoffs. That run, lifted them into eventually an MLS Cup. If you put in a guy like Brad Guzan and he costs you in those crucial games mid-season, that's going to be tough to come back from. And that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see this team go so well, ride this high, ride this wave of success. Guzan gets in there, something different, something they're not used to, something that's everyone's getting adjusted to. And then Atlanta United, forces some mistakes in the back and it costs us goals, costs us points. And then we're looking at a different Atlanta United.
Right.
That's what I'm concerned with.
So if he comes in around 10th of July, that's what we're talking about. So we've got a game on the 4th of July against San Jose. The next game is the 21st of July in Orlando. If he comes in and fucks it up against fucking Orlando, and then the next game is Orlando back here, then he's dead to me.
Yeah.
He's dead to me.
He was never alive to me.
Here's the good thing for him, though. He's going to have, talking with Tata Martino after the game in this press conference, I specifically asked him about, what the plan is with Guzan. And he said that he's still got some time before he's with the club. He's got the Gold Cup that he's got to go through, and he's going to go through the whole thing. He is, unless he gets injured, I think there's another international break after the Gold Cup, maybe a couple weeks after that. And then, but he said
it must be in that July time.
Yeah, he said he'll be training.
Yeah.
He'll be training a little bit with Atlanta in between those tournaments or those dates. So they are going to get a chance to see him and see what he's got and see what he can do, in this new system that he's definitely not used to, before they have to give him a real shot. And they're definitely going to be able to see him in the Gold Cup. They're going to be able to see him against international friendlies. So we're definitely going to get a chance to see him. They're definitely going to get a chance to see him. And we're going to see exactly what we're dealing with once he shows up in Atlanta United in an Atlanta United uniform.
Yeah.
But that's my major concern is the timing of when he comes in is troubling, because you don't want that change. It kind of helped for Colorado. Colorado, when they got Tim Howard last year, Zach McMath was riding high. He was the best goalkeeper in the league to some people's standard, for some national writers.
right.
He was a guy that I thought Atlanta United would definitely go after in the expansion draft, because he was someone that I don't think ended up getting protected. We needed a goalkeeper. I don't know why they didn't go after him. I'm sure there was some good reason, but Zach McMath was the goalkeeper I thought, and I think a lot of people thought Atlanta United was going to grab in the expansion draft. That didn't happen. We ended up with Can, and now we're looking at the same situation Colorado was in last year, where they have a goalkeeper playing so well. Tim Howard comes in, continues to do well. They had to suffer through some injuries that kind of makes Tim Howard look maybe a little worse than he actually was.
Oh, hey, guys.
Hey, Kevin.
What's up?
Oh, no. He's sounding like he's 3 sheets to the wind right now. Enjoying your time over in good old Lake Oconee.
I'm just trying to come prepared for the show, so I didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll call bullshit.
Same level of preparedness. No, we're talking typical Guzan and
Guzman, come on, guys.
Guzman.
Yeah, see, dude, fuck you, man. You confuse the hell out of me. I go into a press conference asking a question about Guzan. I say Guzman. Tata corrects me, and I look like a fucking idiot. I looked around. Thankfully, look, here's the thing. Thankfully, I asked that question in Spanish, because for those who don't know, I am bilingual. I asked that question in Spanish, and all the American media, the English-speaking media, had already left the room. So they didn't hear my embarrassment. But the Spanish speakers definitely knew I was in the wrong there. So I blame you.
In that case, how would I say this? Quiero nada más de Eric dice, fuck you, dude, as the first thing that he says to me ever in person.
Oh, God. So,
in other news, apparently my Spanish gets way better the more I drink, so that's great.
Just less inhibitions. So yeah, the one thing I definitely want to talk to you about, Kevin, is I guess we do this week by week when we're talking about a status update on what do we do with the lineup after last week's performance once Joseph Martinez is back in the lineup.
Yes, and I think that's getting to be a more difficult discussion considering those holes are being filled and they're becoming more successful and more cohesive as a unit in his absence. So it seems like where we were 3 weeks ago talking about, okay, how are we going to make amends until Joseph Martinez is back and just, get by until he gets here. We're seeing a lot of success with it now. And I'm not completely sold on it. Like, yes, Miguel has a huge game this past week. He gets a hat trick, like what we all saw coming, where he gets a breakaway on that left foot and he takes one of those shots from the 18, or two in this case, and makes gorgeous goals out of them. I don't think that's going to be the norm, but I think we're seeing a more cohesive unit up top, and we're seeing a lot more team play out of that. And I think that decision's getting more and more difficult to make whenever Joseph does come back. So I honestly don't have any answers.
I think to me, honestly, I think right now, even though he scored in consecutive games, I still think the casualty for Martinez's return is going to be Gressel. I think it just has to do with him being a rookie.
I agree with that.
I think it has to do with him sometimes being inconsistent and just the way, I mean, it was magical watching the top four play together in the first two games, 3 games of the season, excuse me, because Martinez got hurt in the third game against Chicago. But I think Gressel's a super sub at that point.
Right. So the problem with that is, so now I'm assuming in saying you're going to put Villalba back over on right, and then you're going to put Martinez up top, correct?
Yeah, but I would expect them to be a little more free flowing like they were.
I hope so too.
Unless trying to deploy Villalba or Asad to me as a true winger, I don't think is the best foot forward.
I don't know. I never liked Villalba as a winger.
Yeah, I don't either. He's a little too direct to me to be playing a winger, and he and Asad both are terrible at crossing. Let's get it.
My big thing with Villalba is once he gets into that final third, once he gets into that final third, it's like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's like his pass. It's like, at least at that winger position.
Especially whenever he's got a one-on-one position with the keeper. It's that indecision and lack of not just touch ability. It's just, I agree completely. Like there's a inconsistency and I think a lack of maturity. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think I've grown to love Villalba up top and as a player much more over the past weeks, especially Asad too. I mean, last week was a big turning moment for me for Asad, but I think both of them. But I think Villalba more so has a lot of growing to do and maturity to get, especially up top, that I think Martinez possesses that is going to lend itself to him getting back into that role whenever he does.
Yeah, I don't think we have a more composed player in the final third than Joseph Martinez. I don't think there's one in the MLS. There are very few in the MLS that have the composure that he has in the box, and it's just some of it has to do with his low center of gravity, just how stocky he is too, and the way he's able to kind of bully people once he gets in there, and he's just composed.
It's the composure with his speed, because I think
Villalba has the same speed. He's just not as composed. When he's on the ball.
Villa has the composure, but I don't think he has the same speed. So.
Yeah, Villa. Oh man, God, David Villa. That would be whatever. Here's
my thing. He has 5 goals, right?
Right.
He's obviously looked great in the 3 games he played before he got hurt.
Yeah, 3 games.
We've only seen him in 3 games. What if we don't get the same Joseph Martinez when he comes back?
That's
part the scary part.
Yeah, same here.
Because we all assume it's the hot hand fallacy. We all assume that he's going to be the same player he was when he came back.
He's probably just drinking a 6-pack a day and taking a smoke.
And really, he wasn't even. I mean, he's one of the marquee signings, but I would say that Villalba was even more highly touted coming into the season.
Well, he was first DP.
He was first DP. I think Almiron was the second DP, right, and then Martinez the third. And
so all of this is all of you are touching on my point that I wanted to make, which is in seeing the success that has been built on this complete overhaul of the formation, you're seeing a more rhythmic synapse on the front line from Atlanta United. Your thought about Gressel coming in as a super sub, I think that I'm more inclined at this point, based on the amount of time that Martinez has had out, for the first game that Martinez comes back in, and I would argue to say even maybe the first 2, is that Martinez is that super sub role, and he's coming in to
sub role.
He's back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love a good sub role.
I also
role. Oh yeah, I'm on board with that right now. Sure.
I also think it's just so
I
hard.
wonder what delivers out here.
Probably nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Delivers out here?
No, it doesn't exist east of Atlanta. Trust me, I've tried to get Uber Eats at work. It doesn't work. So
out on the back deck.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be
I'll do
opposed to
it in
that.
like 2
You
seconds.
still want to ease him into the rotation.
Yeah.
He's not-
Have you had Elijah Craig before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's having
Kevin,
another
Kevin,
Is he
conversation.
talking to us?
Kevin, on topic.
Sorry, I'm here. Guys,
You're,
I'm
you,
here.
you're taking up broadcast. You're taking up
Kevin,
broadcast
you're
time.
not prepared.
Guys,
No,
I wasn't prepared. I didn't know you guys were going to want to talk about stuff. I just called to talk shit.
Oh,
First of
okay.
all,
Well, we'll let
wait,
you go
let me-
whenever
let-
you want to go.
Let me just air some dirty laundry here. First of all, Dan, how much are you paying these guys to write iTunes reviews? Because I don't think it's enough because they're not good at it. It's clearly an inside job, and I'm not a fan of it. I think it's bullshit,
Well, so
and I will not allow it anymore.
well, I used the money that I sold your tickets for to pay them. So,
In that case, you are not getting my Columbus tickets.
Second of all, who's more handsome sitting across from you, Tim? Do you miss me, or is Eric now the new me?
The beard. The beard is the.
that
it's the common factor.
It
You
is
got
a
the,
common
you got
factor.
the beard across both sides. It makes it easier to ease
So-
into this
So
transition.
had we Velcroed, who would have the most leverage?
Somebody's chin's getting ripped off in that
Hey,
exchange.
well,
It'd be like with two bighorn
luckily-
sheep lock horns.
Luckily, I have several to spare, so
Yeah.
we're good on that front.
Kevin, Eric seems to have, he's got a cap on, but he seems to have silky long hair.
it's beautiful,
Oh,
Kevin.
yeah,
Thick
see,
hair.
I can't
The
compete with
ladies,
that.
the
So
ladies
Eric,
love it.
The receding hairline is going to catch up to you,
I will-
Kevin.
I will bow down to a man with a thicker mane than I. I will not challenge the head of the pack in that manner.
Listen, up until about 2 weeks ago, when I had to start really interviewing for some corporate positions, I had like the mixed disc root of hair, of podcast hair.
Oh, nice.
The mixed disc root of podcast hair. That was me.
Yeah, that's nice. But
All
Kevin,
right,
yeah,
Final question for Eric. Eric, how are you liking the studio? How are you liking the space? How are
I'm
you liking being on the show?
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous that you guys have this home setup. I wish I had it at home. That way I don't have to go 45 minutes to the studio and record there, because save me some gas money that I don't get paid back for. So
So what's been your go-to bomb, as it were, over the course of the night? You can say fuck, shit, ass, bitch, whatever you want to do on this show.
Orlando.
What's the go-to?
it was the fuck you to you for the Guzan
Oh,
Guzman
my
situation.
heart
man.
explodes. I'm so happy
I
to
saved
hear
it just for you, buddy.
it's good stuff.
that.
We
Yeah,
did.
so
I installed the fourth microphone, so we have another seat available. So
dude,
yeah,
I'm psyched.
yeah, it's gonna get crowded in here.
So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say. I thought the game was great. I'm really happy for Miguel. I think there's a lot of optimism moving forward. I think Orlando is still trash, and everybody on Twitter can eat my asshole.
Oh, it got a little crass
See,
there.
now you guys got to explain the beef between you and Orlando right now. You got to give him the quick story.
Yeah, so I
Oh.
mean, it's been going on for a while. There's a sweet Twitter feed. Twitter, the way that they organize things without mentions and all this stuff now, it's hard to follow. But if you guys go to our Twitter feed at Home Before Dark B in the number 4, you can find a string of brilliant. Before it starts getting a little unimaginative,
Unimaginative and just personal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I don't
It's
like
just
people how much time. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Roar podcast that I guess our two counterpart, whatever, or the Atlanta counterpart down in Orlando for a podcast or fan podcast. It's
there is
they
no
get
counterpart to us.
yeah.
We stand alone. Like Godsmack, we stand alone.
They went down. They did a real they went political. They dug in our boy surveillance affairs.
Dirty.
Yeah,
Dirty.
just airing
I'm
dirty
standing
laundry.
up for my man.
Yeah,
Here's-
just
here's my
not-
question.
Not here.
how
Not
much-
here,
how much-
not on our turf.
How much did they mention the fact that we lack geographical knowledge of the South?
yeah.
Like, how often do they bring that up?
None.
It's every other tweet. I feel like.
It always
Oh, see,
happens,
that's
man.
the
It's
difference,
terrible.
Is that clearly they must know that my Southern roots, and that does not come into question. No one disputes that argument. with
Yeah,
this
Kevin,
guy.
just a little backstory for you guys. Kevin may not have a Southern accent, but this guy would take deer antlers and he would go hide in a field across the street from his house and then jump out at people driving by holding the deer antlers. He would have the antlers sticking up above weeds to where you couldn't tell if it was a deer or not, and then he would jump out in front of him. So his Southern roots cannot be questioned.
Pretty great, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got more drinking to do and cigar smoking to get to.
All right, go enjoy yourself. Don't fall in the lake.
So in that spirit, I say hashtag Orlando is not the South. Surveillance, keep your head held high. We will stand tall in the end whenever we're in the playoffs, and we'll let the record speak for itself. Eric, I'm glad you're on the show. I'm glad that you made it out, and can't wait to hear it tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, take it easy, Kevin. We'll see you.
See you,
Yeah, be safe. Above
All right,
all
man.
else. See you.
Look, there's nowhere to drive here. I'm just walking.
Okay, good. See
Okay,
ya.
bye.
Thank God.
All right,
So,
ca-
Tim, you changed the locks on the house, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So can I show you guys something real quick? I'm
Yeah.
not sure the cameras real quick. I'm not sure if they can see it at all. But here's the thing. Look at this picture, and it's a picture of
Oh, yeah,
some
I
of
was
the,
looking at that
some
one.
of La Banda for Atlanta United. Some of the guys who looks like they don't belong.
Oh, it's obviously Joseph Martinez. I mean,
No,
that
really?
big
It's-
Irish guy in the
It
back
looks like
definitely
McCann,
belongs.
Yeah.
Miguel Almiron is wearing a Courage the Cowardly Dog shirt, whereas everyone else is dressed rather nicely. I think this is Perez in the hat, but he's wearing, I don't know what kind of hat. He's wearing the Courage the Cowardly Dog shirt in what seems like a nice restaurant with the wives or the girlfriends. It looks like, so I see a little couple purses there. Mears, look at him. He's in a nice shirt. He's ready to go out clubbing.
Just as you say that,
It's a weird little set.
Such an
It's just
awesome
so
picture.
funny. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
But he's Miguel Almiron. He can do
He
whatever,
can do whatever he
likes
wants,
in
yeah.
the city.
just as you were mentioning geographic tweets, Eric, I shit you not.
Did they
This
send
guy,
one?
I'm not even going to justify his saying his name, but some guy on Twitter said, "Do you know how cardinal directions work, hon?" I'm sorry, I guess it's a woman. Pretty sure we are more southern than you. No, you're not. Gainesville, Florida, yes. We're talking like Stark, Florida. Talking about Jacksonville. Talking about the Panhandle. Sure, they're all more southern than us.
But where you are in Orlando,
Yes, you guys are not the South.
you guys are your own little.
You're Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are the Mickey
Be
Mouse
lucky
Club.
you're considered part of the United States because that's
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. God, I can't wait for those games. So
God, I hope we beat them.
I'm a little
I hope
scared.
we
We're talking
don't.
so much shit that I'm a little scared that if we don't, we're just gonna hear it. I'm gonna have to turn off Twitter. I'm gonna have to back away from my laptop, my phone, and just kind of go dark for a few weeks because I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see the instant reaction we're gonna get if we lose either this game. Look, if we lose at their place, fine. If we lose at home, that's just unexcusable in my opinion. You got to come out
Yeah.
for that game.
yeah,
Yeah.
Thankfully, hopefully, we're gonna catch them at the bottom of this crap hole that they're playing in right now,
yeah.
and we can take advantage of winning both games.
I guess they've had a tough stretch of games, right? I mean, they played, in all fairness, 4-0 to Houston at was it Toyota? No, what is the BBVA Compass Arena?
Compass Stadium,
And then they played obviously NYC where they got destroyed this weekend. Kyle Larin missed a PK on the backs of all the transfer speculation that's coming out about him going to Germany or going to Belgium.
Right.
And I mean, they have had a tough go of it. I'm glad to see it. I'm not.
They haven't had a victory in
They're
6 games.
I want to say they're 0-3 and what is it?
And their last win was against Colorado, who are garbage.
Yeah, I want to say their record is 0-3-2 in their last 5, something like that. 3 losses, 2 draws.
3 losses, 2 draws in the last
Yeah.
5.
So they're definitely on the schneid. The other thing they were talking shit about, you guys aren't even
They-
in the play. You guys aren't even a playoff team right now. We have 2 games in hand. I don't know if you guys understand how that works. If we make up and we get the maximum 6 points in those 2 games in hand, we jump you guys, or we jump right behind you guys into 5th place in front of Columbus.
They're a mathematically
Challenged.
group of people. They
Hey
just,
man,
you
they
got to
really
keep it simple for them. You
They
got to
re-
keep it simple.
they really-
and they just see the point totals and they're good to go, man.
They really gotta be, because I'm terrible at math, and if I got that over them, they got a problem.
Yeah.
Talking about an English major or English minor broadcast major, I don't know math. So I want to talk NYC. I wanted to bring up, I mean, this is going to stretch a little long. This has just been a long broadcast. Hopefully you guys don't mind.
That's okay.
I know you guys all have cool long commutes in Atlanta. The more, the better. Make sure that you guys are listening to all the sweet Atlanta podcasts, including Mouse of the South.
Yeah.
And Soccer Down Here and the new formatted Off the Woodwork with Kyle Tate. So Bosman transfers. I wanted to bring some up to you guys. Free transfers in the summer from England. Obviously, we can't necessarily afford them right now because we have 3 DPs right now. Just a couple of guys that really stood out to me that I would love to have, and I think one of them we've talked about before that would fit into Lorenowitz's role is Michael Carrick.
Oh my gosh,
he's 35, but he still plays so well for that holding midfield role. He would be that general.
He's going to require too much money, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if money's not necessary, because we can't afford it, right? I mean, unless we get rid of one of our DPs,
which you're not going to do, because which DP would you get rid of?
Exactly.
I mean, Bijal, you're getting at a discount.
But I'm just saying, some of these names on here would help out so much, and they're not even like huge names. Between Michael Carrick, Charlie Adam, I think he would fit in to kind of the slower pace of the MLS, and he does really well in distribution.
Charlie Adam weighs 300 pounds now.
It says 181 pounds. So.
No, that's stone. 181.
Gotcha.
Seb Larson.
Oh wow,
he's on a free right now. He's only 31. He would be amazing in the midfield.
So where would you put him though? In the I mean, he's a set piece guy.
That's my big thing. If you're looking at any of these guys, you're looking at depth. You're not looking at starting quality because you don't really need it.
Unless you talk about Lucas Leiva. That was the one I was going to bring up. He would be a 2.0 upgrade over Lorenowitz to me. At one point, a couple years ago, he was the best defense, in my opinion. In my biased opinion, he's the best defensive midfielder in England, and maybe in Europe at the time. But between him and Martin Caceres, I would take Martin Caceres and I would put him right next to LGP and
I'd just be worried about the drama.
Over Michael Parkhurst,
yeah,
the captain of the team.
Yes, yeah, no,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's hard to have that conversation, to have a realistic conversation with the front office about those kind of players when you're talking about putting.
Talking about your countrymen.
I know, but still, it's just hard.
Yeah, I know. No, but there's just some of the names that popped out on that list to me that would be affordable, and that would come to the MLS, and maybe names that we might be seeing in the MLS. Pablo Zabaleta from Man City.
From Man City.
Great right back, right?
Well, that's a good discussion, because one of the things that we're going to need for next year, because remember, Garza's on loan, Assad's on loan. We're not guaranteed to have him next year. And if if you want to add depth at those positions, I'm all for it, because they can fill in next year, and they already know the system. It's not anything new to them. They can just hop right in and they're good to go.
Yeah, he would be a great depth signing. It's really. It concerns me. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, and I'm already concerned about what's going to happen next season.
Right?
With the state of the team.
How cocky? I mean, not cocky, but like how needy, or
I know, right?
I don't know what the word is, but
yeah. No, it's
not the way to look at it.
Dude, I just I have a lot of fun looking at transfer rumors because they're constant throughout the season. You bring up a good point about Garza, though. That's one of the things I had in my notes is Garza's hip. I think it looked like he was favoring it again at one point.
I think that's going to be a thing we see all year round. I don't think it's anything that's going to go away anytime soon.
Is that a concern for Tijuana? Are they going to sell him to us?
Hopefully for cheap.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I don't think
the reason they loan him out is because he's been out for 2 years, right?
Yeah, and I guess they were going to use Atlanta as a platform to see what he had, and he's looked good. Dude, he's one of our most consistent players. But he's already had 1 game in 10 where he's had to kind of sit out, because I guess it's a pretty good ratio because of his hip. But I mean, 1 game in 10, there's 33 games in a season. I forget what the number is off the top of my head.
And you think about how much he runs during a game too, and flat out too. He's gonna.
Crazy.
He almost had. He just keeps going.
He almost had a goal this game, didn't he?
Yeah, almost.
There
was like 2 chances. There's one with the Mears cross, and then he. I think
there was the one with it where he connected with Assad on that left side, on the far side on TV.
Yeah,
but I mean, I hope Yamil Asad. I'm still kind of waiting to see, because I don't know how much Velez is going to ask.
They don't like him very much, do they?
The fans don't.
Oh, okay. The front office is okay with him?
I wonder if being an assistant with Tata Martino, and again, if the dramatics that we're so used to seeing, and we didn't see it as much or at all against Houston, if that is a consistent thing, then maybe the front office for Velez thinks differently of maybe the time with Tata Martino, a real proven manager, someone got to him and told him, hey, you got to cut this, nonsense out.
Yeah.
And maybe that changes their attitude a little bit towards him.
Yeah.
I mean, this may just be my Birmingham City negativity creeping in, but it is difficult when younger players like Asad are on loan to you. It's difficult to make them permanent. And we had Jesse Lingard, John Torrell. We had a bunch of these young players come through.
In defense with the Lingard situation, that was never going to be a permanent signing. I mean, Lingard's always been a future striker for Man U.
Right.
It wasn't like Josh King whenever they loaned him out and then he ended up just going on a free to Bournemouth. I mean, Lingard was kind of the future. He was always going to succeed Wayne Rooney.
But I mean, he's just one. I mean, we've Alex Wood. None of these guys, if they're young and they're on loan, they just don't stick.
Dan, you got to get used. You got to get used to supporting a winning club.
It's just I've never had that.
Well, here's the other thing in consideration to Yamil is at some point, if Carlton is part of the Atlanta United plans, at some point you're gonna have to play him on a regular basis. And
right,
I know he's 16, I think, maybe 17 now. I forget what his actual age is, but
I think did he just turn 17 or no?
If he did, he just turned 17. But he's eventually you're gonna start asking more of him
16
to see if you can't up his value once he turns 18. I don't know exactly what his determination to getting to England is, especially right at 18. I don't think it's very high considering, one, it's hard to go from MLS to Europe that young. And that's one of the reasons some of these kids decide not to sign with their home, the homegrown contracts because they want to go to Europe and want to train with their clubs over in Europe. Yeah. So I don't know how determined he is to get to Europe right at 18. I'm sure he wants to get there someday. But at some point, you're going to have to start playing him. And he has the quality, the technical ability to be a starter. He's just young. That's really the only difference that we're waiting to see is him grow up a little bit, play more under the system. And hopefully he's the guy that steps in for a guy like a Yamil Asad, or maybe they bring someone in on loan again. Maybe, for all we know, they could bring him in on Yamil Asad on loan again next year. And then when Carlton is 17, 18, that's when he gets to start, on the wing. Yeah, because that's where he's going to play. He's not going to play.
Yeah, he's not going to play in the hole. No, yeah, I mean, unless Almiron gets sold. I mean,
you'd have Villalba on one side, Carlton, I got to think, on the other.
Yeah,
and then
I wouldn't
Joseph
mind that.
Martinez.
I love youth. I love youth coming into the system, and I mean Brandon Vasquez too. I mean, you're looking at he's 19 now, right?
Yeah, he might still be 18, isn't he?
He is still 18.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's better than Kenwyn Jones. And for this team too.
I think he's a little faster too.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's look forward Sunday. Got a big game against the number 2 team in the East. Let's face it, the East pretty much is it in MLS right now. I mean, West has, you look at Dallas and you look at Sporting KC as like the only, and Dallas just lost for the first time against San Jose. And you look at Dallas and Sporting KC, to me, are the only true contenders in the West. The way that Portland's kind of had a downslide, they're playing without their best player in Nagby, and I don't know how much longer they're going to play without him, right? So we have a explosive NYCFC team coming to Bobby Dodd on Sunday.
I feel like every other game has been the measuring stick for Atlanta United, but I really feel with this game in particular, I feel it's a measuring stick in how we deal with them. Plus, I feel like we have a monkey on our back to deal with. If we can play with the same bravery and the same confidence that we had against Houston, against NYC, and not get too conservative, then I think that would be the key to us winning the game. If we back off that confidence, I feel like that's
I think the biggest thing for us is we lacked control in that midfield against NYCFC 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
or we didn't have. I guess 3 weeks ago at this point.
We lacked defensive control, midfield control.
Well, yeah, you had horrible. For me, you had horrible positioning. You had LGP playing out where he shouldn't be playing. He was making bad tackles, and then you had it was just questionable play in defense. And then you had, instead of Lorenowitz covering in a stopper role, you had he and Carmona just converging on one guy when you had 5 attackers that are so fluid up front for NYC. I mean, it's hard, man.
They knew how to handle our system better than, I mean, Patrick Vieira was a kind of a mastermind.
Yeah, he did.
He knew exactly, you got to take Almiron, and that you expect the same. I fully do not expect Almiron, and it's going to shock a lot of people, and people are going to be like, what is going on? But Almiron shouldn't have a good game against NYCFC this weekend. You're going to have to, it's going to look a little different because Vijal will be in there. I think Yamil was suspended that game, so he'll be in there
he was.
against NYCFC.
Plus, I don't think Carmona and Lorenowic they didn't have
their best game.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the same, it didn't seem like they had the same sort of knowledge or bought into the same sort of system that we had when we played them in New York.
Well, not only that, but when you put that system in against a team like NYCFC who can counter with the best of them
right.
on a field that narrow where they can converge on you so quickly.
And
they almost didn't need. There was no reason for either one of them to go up because there wasn't going to be enough time between the loss of possession to get back.
Right.
And I know that's what one is supposed to do. One's supposed to go up. One's supposed to stay back. It doesn't matter when you have 5 guys coming at you. It's 5 against 6. That's a good matchup for any attacking team.
Yeah.
Especially when that 5 is who they are. I mean,
exactly.
You're talking about you have to stop not just David Villa. You don't have to stop just Jack Harrison. You don't have to stop Rodney Wallace. You also have to deal with Maxi Morales just distributing and absolutely. To me, he plays that David Silva role. Like I remember whenever he first came to Man City, they kept calling him the menace. Like the menace factor. He's just everywhere.
He's the key to get the guys fed up front.
Yeah, exactly. He's a distributor, and he also does so much for creating space.
Mm-hmm.
He's passing into space, but at the same time, that's there because of him. It's dangerous. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this game on Sunday. We're riding such a high coming off the Houston game. I am too. Especially
against how they played. NYCFC played against Orlando. Orlando. I thought maybe the open space is a problem for them. We know they can play well at home, except against the New York Red Bulls, which is why
we have a wider pitch than Yankee Stadium, right?
Yeah, we do. It's not by that much, but you can tell on TV.
And a longer pitch too, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm scared. I'm not as pessimistic about. I thought it was gonna be like 5-3 Atlanta when we were going to their place. Now I have no idea because I saw them against Orlando City, a perfectly sizable pitch, and now they're coming to Atlanta, which is a little smaller, sure, but it's still that same. I saw them beat the crap out of Orlando City, and they did it through good passing. So where they didn't count on that restrictive areas, the restricted space in the middle. They didn't need to converge on anyone. They just had the ball and they went. It's going to take a lot of defensive effort from the back line, from Carmona, from Lorenowitz. Can's going to have to stand on his head. It's going to be a full team effort. And not like we saw in Houston. We didn't see Houston's A team, from start to finish. We saw their A team for about 30 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
And we did well against them, sure, but
it's
not the same. It's not NYCFC. And it's different, had Houston scored on the couple opportunities they had at the very beginning of the game, that game might have been completely different. You take your opponent out of that game at home, it's a completely different mindset to try to get back into that match down 2-0.
Yeah, you're telling me that Maxi Morales isn't going to pounce on those same mistakes that we made in the backfield that Houston did. I mean, they have the finishers to put those in.
I felt like we weren't playing the A team, but we still minimized.
No,
they've still got Menottes out there. Who's fast as shit. And we still minimize their counterattacking team because they are counterattacking. They give you possession and then they just want to hit you on the counterattack, just like Leicester. So the only comparison I can really turn to this is when Houston played Orlando and NYC had played Orlando. So when Orlando played Houston in Houston, their defending was completely destroyed by the counterattacks. I mean, Kyoto and Els were just absolutely, it was like 4-on-2, and they would score when they beat them 4-0. And then it seemed the same with NYFC, who still were able to just run past their defensive line. And I feel like the game in New York that we played, I feel like that's a total wash. I mean, I can forget that game. It never really happened in my mind because we were just trash. But we were able to put some sort of defensive effort on a counterattacking team against Portland and against Houston. So I feel like I feel I have a little bit more confidence playing NYC now. I don't know if we're going to win the game, obviously.
I don't know.
But I feel a lot better than
me too.
if we'd have drawn the game against Houston. I'd be like, oh, shit. And now Via and friends are coming into town.
I talking to some of the players after Houston, I think it was Doug Robertson that asked, is there kind of a revenge factor against NYCFC? And they were like, no, I mean, we got a bad game. I was like, as a fan, as a member of the media, I couldn't really react. But as a fan inside, I was like, are you kidding me? You don't want to beat them 10-0 if you can? Like, how do you not want some revenge after what happened in New York? But hopefully that's just something they said. Hopefully deep down inside, Tata Martino. Remember, Tata Martino is not going to be in this game because he was ejected from Houston.
Yeah.
But you gotta. I really hope that they're banding together and going, we got to make a statement with this game. I don't know if they really pay attention to anything we say or any of the podcasts say, any of the writing that any of the blogs that talk about Atlanta United, but this absolutely has to be a revenge game for Atlanta United. There's no way around that.
This is, apart from like the opening game, this is the biggest game of the season for us
so far.
Yeah,
because this will be in terms of star quality, in terms of David Villa.
Well, we've actually got history with this team. This is the first game we have history with.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, but it's
and they're an actual real rival that we could,
Yeah, not like those trash purple people eaters.
Yeah, you look at the Portland game. They didn't have Nagby, and so people sort of make that as an excuse. This is the first game they'll have all 11 players that they're supposed to have on the field. Same with us, and we'll be if you don't have Martino, then Martinez. But fine, let's count him out because he hasn't been on the roster for however
But we
many
figured
games.
it out without it.
Exactly. This will be the first real big test, I think, and we've said that before. At least I have. First real test for this team that hopefully nothing crazy happens and we can see what this team looks like against what should be a playoff caliber team.
Right. Someone could very well be playing for the final.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Predictions? Dan?
I just feel like it's going to be high. Whatever it is, it's going to be high scoring. There's no way.
I don't have Kevin's notebook. You got to write these predictions down so we can come back to them. Speaking of which, Houston, I had 1-0. I think you had 2-1. Kevin had 2-0. It ended up being 4-0. So none of us have been right about predictions yet.
I'm going to go. So I agree. It should be high scoring. So I think it's going to be 2-1.
Natural.
And I'm going to go for a W because why the fuck not?
Yeah. I think Villalba gets back on the scoring sheet. I say 2-0.
Oh
man,
makes me feel less confident.
This is.
I think Villalba gets in, and then I think Asad. Gets back on the score sheet. I think both of them kind of break the duck, as it were.
Hold on, let me look at New York's like the only thing that I think is so. See, us and Orlando have been the only win, so neither good for. That makes a compelling matchup between Atlanta and Orlando coming up in the future. I don't know. I'm hoping they run into just a buzzsaw in Atlanta.
Oh,
next
wouldn't that
Sunday.
be amazing?
I just hope it's like
another
5-0 or something crazy like that. I hope by some gift from God, Pirlo starts because him and Almiron going together. Oh gosh, he runs circles around him.
Yeah,
I know he won't, but I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be 4-3, and hopefully we get one at the death, and it'll be the most exciting atmosphere you see to end the game.
4-3 for the win.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
Like fingers crossed, please.
All right, so we had a prediction come in through live chat. Mao, he says Atlanta 4-2. So no, don't spell it like that. That's the Chinese dictator. It's M-O-W. I guess Mo. My bad. Yeah. And then
it's the only Mao I know.
We got bigger problems then. So, and then shout out to Andres Castro. Apparently, we are running an ESL class for him, which is great. He says,
"Are you serious?"
Yeah, he said, "Love the show. Listening every week." One, he said, one of the things is because I love football, soccer, and I learn more English with you guys. Keep it up. He said, "I'm going to Orlando for that game, so I can't wait." And Orlando's not the South, and he also said his prediction is 2-0 to Atlanta. So
what was his name?
Andres Castro. Loving the interaction.
And to see. Where's Kirby J. Smith? Where's his prediction?
Yeah, maybe he'll
Kirby,
maybe,
dude, sort it out, man.
Yeah, we'll be he'll be on that tomorrow, I'm sure. Come on, Eric.
I'm just with what? What am I doing?
He's got 4-3.
Oh, he's got 4-3.
Yeah,
That's
4-3,
right. Sorry. Yeah. I saw an empty spot. Sorry, I saw an empty spot. That's Kevin.
So I'll
yeah,
just put like 9-0.
He's whatever drunken Kevin's gonna put in there.
No.
I think that's it though. I mean,
so everyone's picking a win.
Yeah.
I mean, we're homers, man.
Well,
we got
true,
another one. We got
but
another one. Salmon or Salmon, Salmaan. Atlanta 3-0.
I think the difference in this game might be the home crowd because NYCFC.
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
didn't have a home crowd.
They're
just
with that.
miserable.
Hey, by the way, can we talk about that for a second? How awesome was that last game in terms of the entire, not just the anthem, not just the stuff you saw during the rain delay, but the entire atmosphere. I got to give major credit to the supporters sections, all of them, all the supporters groups. It seemed like they figured out that they need to keep it simple and involve the entire stadium. And so the things like the Icelandic clap, the Atlanta United call and response, it's all stuff that everyone, regardless if this is your first MLS game, first soccer game period, or the 3,000th game you've been to, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. They've been really inclusive.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
So in England, you feel like, if you're not regular season ticket holder, you're not regularly going to these games, there is
go sit over there.
Exactly. And it's not like that at all in Atlanta, which has been really, really refreshing. And, there were a whole bunch of kids like around where I was sitting in Kevin's seat, which was great to see. Like people feel comfortable enough to bring their families.
You better not have been sitting.
No, well, I wasn't sitting. But I mean, you don't bring your kids to watch Birmingham City play because, you want them to have some sort of decent English vocabulary. So
you take them to an Aston Villa game in that case. You definitely don't take them to Wolves, right?
Right. So I mean, so have you read the book or seen the English version of Fever Pitch? I mean, it's not exactly like that. Where
you're talking about the Jimmy Fallon movie?
No, the English version.
I have the Arsenal one, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I've seen that one. It's the one that the Jimmy Fallon one's based off of. Just Americanized.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like
the only British soccer movie, and it's an amazing movie that I've seen is The Damned United.
That's
with Michael Sheen about Leeds and Brian Clough and
yeah.
God, that movie's incredible. But no, I haven't seen the Fever Pitch original.
Check it out.
And I didn't watch
the remake. Read the book, man.
I don't read. I read internet, and I think that's it.
The internet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Probably get it for free on the internet.
I've probably read less than 10 novels in my life. That's a sad admission.
Did you guys see Atlanta United announced the 5th sellout?
Yes,
that's awesome. NYCFC.
Yeah,
I don't know how. I heard a conversation on the radio today going. I was helping my brother move and going from place to place. How Atlanta United is stealing away some of the fans from the Atlanta Braves. And one, I don't really.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. I just hope this doesn't go away.
Well, I mean, you're talking about
concern.
At least 30,000 people who have to just be throwing away money at this point because they're season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have people that even if we start on a downslide, they might feel obligated to still come to the game. I don't know.
Arthur Blank's competitive though.
To me though, and I've said this to a lot of people, I have a lot of people that are critical of it at work, and they're like, how long is it going to last? How long is it going to last? And I've been in the city for 7 years, and I've lived on the east side predominantly, and between Jimmy Carter Boulevard and Buford Highway, I think you could sell those games out every single week. I mean, there's such a huge.
You look at the and I asked Darren Eels. We had him on our podcast a while back. This was before we even knew how many season tickets. It was actually a podcast. The interview he announced that we had converted 90% of the deposit base, whatever the number of people had.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was at that point, it was something like 16,000 or something like that. And we didn't even expect to get that high, to be honest. But he mentioned that the demographic behind these season tickets, I think, at least I'm pretty sure this is what he said, but he said that like the majority are millennials. So it's not this Hispanic centric that a lot of the normal sports talk radio media thinks it is. I talked to John Kincaid, if you know who he is from CBS Radio. I talked to him all the time about this, and he was under the impression that all these season tickets were being sold to the Hispanic community. That's not the case. I mean, you see Hispanics there; they're a large majority. They're a fair majority,
right?
But
the
entire supporters,
a lot of young people. Yeah,
the entire supporter section is millennials, regardless of ethnicity or race, whatever. They're millennials, and they all speak English. They're all not specific to that Hispanic community, and that's the thing that I've found fascinating, because that's why I think it'll last. Maybe not as Portland like in terms of they've had I don't know how many sellouts for the past.
There's like 100.
I don't understand their sellouts anyway, because they have.
When you have a stadium that only fits like 2,000.
Yeah,
people,
I think it's like. What is it really?
It's
12,000, I think it's something. No. It's
I think it's like 17 or 18.
Portland's 43.
I think the minimum is 15,500.
What?
I want to say
43,000.
Providence Park.
No,
it's not that big.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it's not that big. That's my only concern.
I thought it was like State Saputo, which is like
22,000.
No. It's sorry. I'm thinking of, is it CenturyLink with Seattle?
Yeah,
that's up
there. Well, that's because it's an NFL stadium and it has to be that big.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. They're selling out 22,000, and there's still empty spots around that stadium.
Yeah. My hope is that this just continues to grow, and I hope that the one thing I love about the games at home, because some of the games away haven't been visibly appealing to the eye,
right?
But the games at home, minus maybe the Chicago Fire one, which really got hot at the end, they've all been fantastically fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for non-soccer, I don't know how many people you guys have come up to you. They're like, I never watched soccer a day in my life. I went to my first Atlanta United game and I'm hooked. I see that all the time. And I think that's just only going to continue. That's my hope for this team, because then we started, a soccer revolution in the South and Atlanta. Not only that, but you've got people from Alabama, North Carolina, people not locally situated in Atlanta or in the Atlanta metro region that are coming to the games on a regular basis.
After the game, I met some guys, like 5 of them, who came from St. Louis.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they were all like with jerseys and everything. I was like, so why did you pick Atlanta? Oh, we're like, day one, man. We were.
What's hilarious is St. Louis is about to get an expansion team in the next couple of years too. So what happens then? Yeah, that's just like, I'm a huge Indianapolis sports fan because of my family, and what happens when Indy 11 ends up getting an MLS team, because that seems likely too. And
right.
I don't know. It's Atlanta United till I die.
That's right, man. You can't just flop onto another team.
No,
Tim.
I'm not like
especially when you've put the podcast together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm kind of tied to the team at this point.
Probably wanted to go back and erase that.
Yeah.
This podcast is now a Portland Timbers.
God. No, I tried listening to one of the Portland Timbers podcasts. No, never again.
Was it the Timbers? I feel like I listened to every pod in preparation for this season. I listened to every podcast done by every team. Timbros was one of them. The Columbus Crew one, they actually do it live from a brewery, and they're actually really funny. I actually like theirs.
Okay. The best pod I've listened to was probably DC had a good pod. The Filibuster, and the one you were on for New York. I thought theirs was pretty well put together.
Blue City Radio,
Blue Nation, or something like that.
NYCFC. I think it's NYCFC Nation.
Yeah, something like that. It had Nation in it.
I don't know. I'm going on one of them tomorrow. I forget which one it is.
Good.
Well, all right. Well, we've hit about the hour and a half mark.
Yeah,
it's getting pretty late. We got shit to do in the morning.
Yep, Almiron goal of the week. Good job.
So Dan, obviously, as always, thank you for joining. Eric, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. It was awesome.
Eric. It was fantastic.
Bring some legitimacy to this.
Some a little more preparedness. I mean, if you hear me on my podcast, I'm always forgetting names. That's my big thing, is I got to remember the names.
Yeah, make sure you guys check out Mouse of the South and DirtySouthSoccer.com, where you can find Eric and Josh and Sam's podcast, and then also blog stylings.
Dirty South Soccer. If you're into the written stuff, and I think that's it. We're gonna start doing a lot of stuff on Facebook. So on the Facebook Live.
Cool.
So we'll be doing what you guys do on YouTube, just on Facebook.
Yeah, and for those of you guys, we had a pretty good contingent of you guys. Thank you for everybody tuning in on YouTube, and anybody listening to us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, anything you're listening to us on. Thank you. Make sure that you leave a rating, review any way you can. Obviously, we'll shout you out on the show. And
So
make
how many consecutive weeks have we had a new review?
I think it's been 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow, let's keep it up.
Yeah,
Let's keep it up. I will open a 7th iTunes account.
No, but as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out gethomebeforedark.com, and we're on Facebook and also on Twitter at homebeforedark. It's B4. Kevin does this usually. I'm a little less comfortable doing the outro.
That's all right. Where can they find you on Twitter, Tim?
They can find me at Tim Herb. Where can they find you, Dan?
At DNJMS.
And where can they find you, Eric?
At Eric G Quintana 48. Eric EricGQuintana.
Okay, awesome. And then follow Mouse of the South. It's just what's
MOTS Podcast at MOTS Podcast.
Yep. And thank you guys for tuning in. Kevin's calling back in, so we're gonna give this a shot.
Bonus.
What do you want?
Hey, you guys signing off?
I'm really hoping it was butt
You guys,
dialing.
you guys want to find me on Twitter too?
Kevin, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me at The Architect. That's at _ARC, number 1 TECT. Collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4.
Be sure to like blur that entire thing out, Tim.
And Orlando fans, I'm sorry. I know it got hostile earlier, and just speaking from the Gart, but I love you guys, and can't wait to play you guys in a couple months.
All right. With that, we are signing off. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kevin, go get some sleep.
Thanks for putting up with our shit, Eric.
No, thanks you guys.
Later, fellas.
Bye.